All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome here this evening to the Keep Punching University Zoom. We want to welcome you and thank you for joining us this evening, whether it's now or listening to us later on a recording. My name is Dany Martin, and I am originating this tonight from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My wife Debbie and I have been with the Juice Plus Company. We're in our 34th year with the company, and we have just met so many friends, and we call them family, around the world with our business, whether it be from Australia, New Zealand, to Europe, to the United States, Canada, or wherever, all points in between. And we have someone on tonight with us that I think is pretty special as well. I've known Leanne for a number of years, and I've recently, I guess, met her husband, Alan, within the last year or two. We met live at one of our conferences somewhere in some city. But I want to give them a formal introduction and turn the Zoom over to them this evening because I think they've got a lot to share with everyone on. I encourage you to take a few notes, if you will, along the way. But Leanne is and I'm going to use this word very cautiously, busy mom of 6 kids. Do you have to say busy when you see the mom of 6 kids, right? And 4 are still at home. Okay, so we praise you for that. She's also a proud new grandmother. Her first grandchild was just born about 2.5 months ago, something like that. And her grandchild is in Nashville, and Leanne and Alan, they reside in the Orlando, Florida area. Leanne has been with the Juice Plus Company going on 20 years. She holds the highest position attainable with our company worldwide. And that's a title called Presidential Marketing Director Plus. And she's also a member of what we call the prestigious 100 Club. If you don't know what all that is, just let me tell you that that's somebody that's excelled to the very top of our company anywhere in the world. She's had numerous accolades and awards and recognition from the company. And she says that the thing that really means the most to her with this business of almost 20 years is, what it's been able to create, the life that she's been able to create because of the business, and probably more importantly, the people that she gets to do business with and work with. And I think that's really neat. When I do these, a lot of times interviews, guys, I always like to ask, tell us something that most people wouldn't know about you. And Leanne's fun fact she gave me was this. She's been homeschooling. Okay, 6 kids is busy, 4 still at home, but she's been a homeschooling mom for 25 years. I don't know what your excuse is if you say you're busy, guys, but I don't know. Anyway, but Leanne, we welcome you on. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Alan. Alan's retired now. He spent 35 years in software sales. The last 20 years, he's with a little company called Oracle. You've probably heard of them. They're very well known. I'm being a little sarcastic there about it being a little company. And these 2 guys are newlyweds. They're newly married. And they actually have 2 homes in Florida. Alan's is in the Jacksonville area. Leanne's home was in the Orlando area. But what that does for them, they're able to go between the 2 and this and that and the other because of Leanne's children and because of Alan's daughter who lives with her family, in the Jacksonville area. And his mom's in that area as well. And she's only 96 years young. I mean, wow. So they kind of spend their time, with family and that type of thing. Fun fact about Alan is this. He negotiated with Leanne because he likes to golf. So she was not a golfer. And he said, if you will learn to play golf, I'll learn to ballroom dance. Now, that's a pretty good commitment from a guy, right? I don't know if I'd go into that deal, but he did, and he has. And in fact, they've already performed in the Orlando area twice. But my question was, I asked Leanne, I said, okay, he's held up his end of the deal. How about you? Have you learned to play golf? And her answer was, I've taken some lessons. Some will give her a pass and say, maybe you haven't learned yet, but we're going to say you're on the path to learning. Leanne, Alan, thank you guys for taking time out this evening to join us. I want to turn this over to you and take it away. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much, Dany. So great. And so many people on here we love, and we've just appreciated you so many years. So thank you for that. We are the newlyweds, so almost 7 months. We are counting. And so you are getting here two very different stories. But we're both going to share a little bit. And I'm hoping that whether you are brand new or whether you've been sharing Juice Plus a long time, if you love Juice Plus and you want to share it with the people you care about most, here's what I hope you hear from me tonight. That you can do way more than you think you can. You can earn way more than you can imagine. And it will mean more than you think. So when I share my story, I'm going to highlight 3 words, and I'm going to leave you with a challenge tonight. So, Alan, what do you want the men on the call to hear tonight?
Well, my perspective is a little bit different. So Leanne's been around 20 years. I've been around 3.5 years. And what I would say to the men on the call, whether you're a partner or the spouse of a partner, is something that one of our NMDs shared with me. And he said, Alan, Juice Plus is a real business for real people. And another person we had on our team said, you know what? There are a lot of people at Juice Plus making real grown-up money. And the beautiful part is we can all have impact on other people's lives. So that's really a great business model.
Yeah, and those are such important things. Now, most of you know that some people get Juice Plus a whole lot faster than others, right? So of the two of us, Alan is way smarter than me. So do you want to share when you first learned about Juice Plus?
Sure. I'd like to take a poll, but I won't. So you can imagine when I learned about Juice Plus was on our very first date. And I do make good decisions every once in a while. So I thought if I bought Juice Plus right away, I could get a second date. So I went ahead and signed up and bought Juice Plus and started eating it. And I'm glad I did, because within about 4 or 5 months, I was off all 3 medications that I was on when I first met Leanne. One of which I've been on for 30 years, which was high blood pressure medicine. So I'm just happy that I'm off that and I don't have to worry about any of the side effects of those medications, because those lists are really quite long. I always say I've got way more energy. I don't need caffeine anymore, and I don't drink those little 5-hour energy bottles that they sell. And I like to say that I almost have as much energy as Leanne does. And I like to call her affectionately my little Energizer Bunny.
EB for short.
EB for short.
It's been a great story. Well, he got it right away. Super smart. Not me. I said no over and over and over. And I am so grateful for the person that didn't give up on me. They just kept sharing and sharing and sharing. So I always say, don't give up on the people you love the most. You never know what it will do for them. So 20 years ago, when I got started, I had 4 kids. I only had 4 at the time, 10 and under. And I knew I wasn't the mom I wanted to be. And when I started eating Juice Plus, number one, I did not have any expectation of what that was going to be. But the 2 words I hear the most from women all the time when they start eating Juice Plus are energy and mood. And that was me. I got nicer. I started enjoying my kids more. I'm sure they were enjoying me more too. And I had no idea that I was going to have 2 more babies in my 40s, my healthiest pregnancies ever. And I had both of them at home. So might be a little crazy too, but I was not looking for a business. I just fell in love with Juice Plus. I made my parents eat it. I started sharing it with a handful of moms around me. And what it has become over time is incredible. So back to our dating story. Do you want to share that?
Sure. I'll tell you a little bit about our dating story. So, as our relationship grew, And especially in this season of life, we're not in our 20s anymore, but maybe 40ish. But anyway, so as that relationship grew, we wanted to make sure that the person that we started dating was financially secure. So one day we were coming out of a restaurant and Leanne was getting ready to go visit with her father and tell him about me. And one of the questions she said he was going to ask is, what's his financial stability? So she seemed a little nervous. I'm sure her father was nervous. So I said, well, I'm just going to pull up my phone and show her my investment accounts because she can't take my money from my phone. So I'm okay. So I pulled it up, showed her. She went and talked to her father and everything was okay. So fast forward, a couple weeks later, we're in Jacksonville, one of our favorite restaurants, and she decides to reciprocate. And so we're sitting at this table and she said, Alan, you showed me yours. I want to share with you what I make with the Juice Plus company. I thought, okay, I was surprised. So she pulls out this little slip of paper and she slides it across the table to me and says, this is how much I make a month with the Juice Plus company. I said, okay. So I took a look at the slip of paper and did a quick calculation. I thought, wow, she's built a really significant business. And I looked back over at the other side of the table and she still has this big grin on her face. And I'm like wondering what's going on. And she said, well, I have something else I want to show you. And she takes out a slip of paper and says, this is how much I make on my second check. Well, I'm thinking, well, maybe a couple $1,000s based on the first check. And lo and behold, I looked at the card that she gave me and the amount on the second check was almost as much as the first check. So she's definitely got my attention. And so I was there were two words that came to mind, shocked and amazed that here's this single mom of 6 kids that built this amazing business from home. When I was working in corporate America, I was on a plane every week. So that was really amazing to me. And I remember sharing this with her is that, any Oracle rep that I know would gladly change places to have the business that she built today. And the more I learned about Leanne and the more I learned about the Juice Plus company, the more impressed I've been with both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I know you've said many times, I wish I had known sooner,
Yes.
right? Like health-wise and business-wise. And but now. So
I know.
I love that. And along those lines, one of the things that I love for people to get to hear is your perspective, Alan, on coming from corporate sales and corporate America, and then seeing our business model and seeing some of the comparison. Would you share a little bit of that?
Well, being 35, 40 years in corporate America and in sales most of that time, there are a couple of things that really differentiate that from Juice Plus. First of all, in corporate sales, your quota went up every year. No matter if you made your number or not, your quota was going up. The beautiful part that I love about the Juice Plus business is that there is no quota and there is no territory. In corporate America, you can get fired at any time if you miss your number on a quarter of the year. In Juice Plus, the only person that can fire us is ourselves, and we wouldn't want to do that. In corporate America, your income can really fluctuate year over year and really cause a lot of stress. Whereas in Juice Plus, it's really up to us. I can do a little or a lot. I can make a little or a lot, and the income potential is unlimited. And when I retired a few years ago, my check stopped. At Juice Plus, I can work the business as long as I want to. And I had the pleasure of meeting Harriet Salzer about a year or so ago. And I believe Harriet's in her 80s and she's still working her Juice Plus business. The final thing I'd share is in corporate America, when you're getting a W-2 at the end of the year, I didn't have any tax write-offs. I always joked with people that, I could submit the short form to the IRS. Whereas in Juice Plus, because it's a home-based business, there are a lot of really good tax write-offs that everybody should be taking advantage of. And one person really gave me a really good piece of advice. He said, Alan, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. So that was another beautiful thing I think about this type of business model.
Yeah. Yeah. tax benefits. If you don't know about that, you want to learn about that from your tax person. But anyway, I love those. And I was thinking, one more that I've heard you say pretty often is your perspective of our community. You want to speak to that?
Sure. So, I would say, I was telling Leanne and some other folks that over the last 3.5 years, I've met some of the nicest people that I've met in my entire life.
Mhm.
And, in corporate America, I was on a sales team of 8 people and had a regional manager that we all reported to. And, we were all considered what they call individual contributors. And the operative word there is individual, right? If you don't make your number, you're out the door. People would help one another if they needed to. But here at Juice Plus, everybody seems to want to help each other, upline, downline, sideline, just like we're here on the call tonight and just sharing our story. And Leanne's nowhere in Dany's or Carrie's pay line. So it's just this great community spirit of like-minded people around health, around business, and just enjoying life.
Mhm. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. So thank you for that. I'm going to share a little bit of my story. And you might want to listen for 3 words. I'm going to tell you what they are so you don't have a hard time picking them out. So events, coaching, and paycheck. Those are my 3 words. And if you think that when I started 20 years ago, that I had the skills or the confidence or the background, you would be wrong. I did not. In fact, part of our dating story is, I really wanted Alan to understand why I love Juice Plus. Well, all I had to do was get him to eat it, right? And find out for yourself, I wanted him to understand why I love this business. So I showed him. He told you that story. But I was trying to communicate even more than that. I was trying to communicate, I love it also because of how much it's grown me. That who I am today is not who I was or where I was when I started. And I couldn't think of a way to really show him. And they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I got really brave, very vulnerable, very risky. And I showed him a couple of pictures from 20 years ago when I started to try to help him see why I love this business so much. Do you remember how you felt when you saw those pictures?
Not one word. Wow.
What?
So, yes, it was knowing how Leanne dresses today is totally different than then. And it was a long jean jumper and custom-made bathing suits that I would say just reminded me of the 1920s. Might be a good way to describe that. They're very cute, but still the 1920s.
Yeah, I was not comfortable in my own skin. And so I think how we dress on the outside reflects how we feel about ourselves on the inside. So anyway, side story, right? But what we love about Juice Plus is deep and wide and covers every area of life. All right, so a little bit of my story, events. I live in Orlando. My sponsor is in California, and he kept telling me, go to a boot camp. Now, I'd been to the local events in Orlando, but he said, go to the boot camp. I'm like, boot camp when I had no idea what I was going to. Was pregnant with my 5th child. I didn't know anybody there. I was sick as a dog. And the only people I knew were the people I loaded up in my car and took with me. But I went. It was a 6-7 hour drive to Paychecks. And I know you guys have an amazing boot camp too. But I went to this boot camp and I came home with my hair on fire. And I have been saying for 20 years, if you want to know my idea of the easiest way to build this business, is to take as many people as you possibly can to the next boot camp or the next conference, whichever one is next. They will get their own why, and they'll do it with you or without you. So I went to that boot camp and came home from there and really plugged into the coaching way more, right? Because then I was ready to learn. And I'm on the Campbell team. And so I was primarily, before Boxer, we had boys come, I was primarily hearing her leaders. And what I was listening for might be what some of you are listening for sometimes, right? Like my life seemed pretty full. I needed this to be easy. I needed it to be simple. And when I learned just make every month count, just have a consistent monthly goal and just focus on that one thing month after month after month. And in the Campbell organization, what I learned 20 years ago is what I'm still teaching today. We call it something different, but it's the same thing. And it was to average 5 new customers a month, add 1 new partner plus a month, and 1 new QSC a month. And just get into that rhythm and then teach other people to do that. And of course, when you get them to QSC, you're going to get them qualified the month after that. And if that's a word you want to know what that means. But so 511. So here's what happened. I set that as my monthly goal. I didn't get it done every month, but I got it done most of the months. And every month I was working on that. And in 23 months, I made NMD, which today you can do that faster, which is amazing. Our company is so generous. You can get that health insurance faster. But back then, when we were doing it with audio cassette tapes, it took a little longer to get there, but getting there was life-changing. When I had my first baby, I didn't know I was going to do this, but I decided right then and there I was not going back to work, so I quit my job. And that meant we gave up a lot. We gave up health insurance. So when I made NMD and we had health insurance for our whole family, that was a really big deal. The other thing was, it wasn't the title, it was the paycheck that gave us choices. My husband then lost his job right before I made NMD. And because of the paycheck, he had the choice. Do I want to go back to work, go find another job, or do I just want to stay home? He chose to just stay home. And when I made NMD, which is different now, but just the club level and the paycheck really go together, at 23 months, I had 34 qualifiers. And 2 months later, I had 39, which back then was the top level of the company. And when I went to my first Elton's, I had no idea they gave awards. The first one they gave was Rookie of the Year, and it was me. And I live an hour from the beach, and I was still wearing those kind of bathing suits that you described. It's not that I had confidence. It's just that I loved what Juice Plus is and was sharing it, and I had a simple monthly goal. So let me just say a little bit more about Paychecks. Paychecks are life-changing, right? Juice Plus is life-changing. Paychecks are life-changing. You know, right at the beginning, very quickly, Juice Plus was paying for our family's Juice Plus, which was a big deal. By then, there were 7 of us. But when I went to that first boot camp, I set my first really financial goal, because I saw other people doing all kinds of things, and we had given up all kinds of things. And what I wanted to do, you know, I wanted to be home with my kids, but I didn't know that I could be home with my kids and earn income. I thought it was one or the other. And so to realize that I could pay for music lessons for my kids, like for $500 a month, I wanted to do that. And I am so glad I did that. My oldest son graduated FAU with a commercial music degree. Many of my kids, most of my kids, love music all these years later. And it started with me seeing that I could pay for music lessons. And then it was, can I pay the mortgage? And then it was, can I pay off our mortgage so we're debt free? And I did that. And at 3 years, and I know this is a business call, these are partners, you know, we share differently than other places, but I just want to tell you that Paycheck has been so life-changing. At 3 years, homeschooling 5 kids, I was earning a 6-figure income. I'd never done that before, and I cried over that paycheck. And 6 months later, it was 5 figures a month. And that was a really long time ago. Now I get to help other people do that. But, you know, what did that paycheck end up doing? So 18 years ago, the kid's dad quit working. So I've been the only support financially for the kids all these years. But 12 years ago, he left. And I didn't see that coming. All 6 kids were still at home, none of them driving. The youngest was 18 months old. I've always said, God gave me this business. This is my belief. God gave me this business before I knew I needed it. The paycheck saved us. Their dad left and I didn't have to. So I got a question for you. How many single moms do you know that work from home, pay everything for their kids, paid alimony and aren't bitter about it. I always said it's better to pay it than to need it. I'm the only one I know. So,
And if I can, I'm going to interject something, is that,
absolutely.
one of the other things I really like about this business is that you can do it as you do life, right? Life happens to all of us. I mean, Leanne got divorced. She didn't see that coming. I lost my wife to cancer right after 30 years, right after I retired. So, from my perspective, everybody needs Juice Plus, the product, and everybody should have an opportunity to hear about the business. Because it could really change somebody's life. So whether you're, retired like me, getting ready to retire, just starting off in your career, or a woman that just wants to stay at home with their kids, like my daughter, have two beautiful grandkids, and her husband, my son-in-law, would like her to go back to work and should like to stay home with the two kids. And so this would be a great business opportunity and stream of income for her, so she could stay at home.
We'll get her.
We'll get her eventually. Sometimes kids, no matter how old they are, they won't listen to you.
Hopefully so.
Hopefully
so. Oh. Okay, so here's my challenge for you. I'm a numbers girl. So I hope you have a piece of paper and maybe write some things down. We're going to do a little bit of math. Hopefully that's fun for you. I think it is. I always say numbers are more fun when you put a dollar sign in front of them. So anyway, okay, so events. There are all kinds of events. All of them are good. But if I were going to focus on the top two that I think will change your business more than anything, number one would be, how many three-way calls are you doing every week? How many Rating Fan customers or potential team members are you bringing to your upline so that they can see what this business could be in that connection, right? Or how many people on your team are you bringing to your upline for them to coach? Or if you're the coach, how many are you doing? How many real life connections are you doing in three-way calls? So how many are you doing a week? Write that number down. And then what is your goal for how many people you want with you in Charlotte? Write that number down. So write those two numbers down, and here's the math. Multiply both of them by 2. I challenge you, multiply both of them by 2. Double the number of three-way calls you're doing every week, and double the number of people you want with you in Charlotte, and make that happen and watch what happens to your paycheck. Okay, so coaching, here are my questions. And these are just like personal questions. This is our own business, but who are you coaching with? How often are you coaching? And how teachable are you? And if you really want to know, ask your upline, ask your coach. How teachable do you think I am? And my idea of coaching is not just hearing what are the numbers and structure for the next, promotion. It's the kind of thing a lot of us on this call, we do it all the time, right? It's really digging into your story, and your story keeps changing. It's helping you get deeper with your why, and that keeps changing. It's helping you get all your new people to the top commission level as soon as possible because they get paid more there, and they're not leaving money on the table. It's being in it together, locking arms, and really plugging into coaching. So kind of where would you see yourself there? And then the last thing is the paycheck. And I want you to write down 2 things. Write down what your financial goal is, whether it's and a date, by when, by Charlotte, by the end of the year, by a year from now, and challenge yourself, ask yourself, or let somebody that is close to you, your buddy, ask you. He has pushed me so much in this business like nobody has. It's terrifying and wonderful, right? Like wonderful. Like I tell all these other people what they can do, and he's like, "Okay, Leanne, what are you going to do?" I'm like, that's it's beautiful. Step up, he says. I'm like, okay, game on. Anyway, where do you want to be financially? And if that number isn't big enough to excite you and maybe scare you a little, it won't create the energy and the momentum that'll make it easy to get there, right? So how would your life change if you set a significant financial goal? I don't mean a 10-year goal. I mean like 6 months or a year, something attainable that will change your life in a significant, meaningful, personal way to you. And how would it feel to you to do that? So let's just review. I'm a homeschooling mom. That's kind of semi like a teacher. Okay, so, and numbers are fun. So events, how many three-way calls are you doing a week? And how many people do you want in Charlotte? Write those numbers down, multiply it by 2. There you go. Coaching, who are you coaching with? How often? How teachable are you? And then what's your financial goal? Write it down, but don't just write it down, share it with that applying coach. Talk about what it would mean to others. That's how others are going to join your team, because they're going to hear it and they're going to want it, right? So, and you know what? No matter how long you've been here, it's always good to have a goal. I'm a little over a year out from 60, so I set a new goal, I've got my coach, which is wonderful. And it's exciting to have a big goal. 20 years ago, I had no idea that saying yes to a handful of capsules was going to completely change my life. And I am so grateful. What would you say to the men?
I guess for the men, one of the things I've observed is that Juice Plus is, I think if the percentage is 87% women, but I'll tell you, doing this business as a couple has just been so much fun and amazing to me. And, no matter where you are in life, having a voice of encouragement, support is really meaningful to all of us, man or woman. And what I tell guys is find out what your role is, because they're all important. I enjoy being Leanne's IT guy and coming on Zoom calls and sharing my story. Some of the other people on our team babysit for their wives or, do other things, but just, find out what works for you. And always remember, every role is important. And I watched Leanne doing her coaching, and she just loves what she does and gets so much joy in return. And she has the opportunity, and we all do, to really impact other people's lives and make a difference, not only health-wise, but also financially. And I can tell you one thing, having been retired for a few years, there's only so much golf you can play. And I'm really looking forward to doing this business with Leanne for the rest of our lives.
Thank you so much. Well, I hope that what you've heard from us tonight is that you can do more than you think you can. You can earn more than you can imagine, and it will mean more than you think. And Jay Martin says, find a buddy. I have finally found mine. So thank you, baby.
Thank you. Thank you, Dany and Carrie, for the invitation.
Thank you.
Well, Alan and Leanne, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I know I'm taking notes. I hope you guys were taking notes. I love events, coaching, paycheck, and three ways, the Zooms, the calls, or however you can get somebody in front of somebody else. Is that cooperative witness, right? I love that. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening and sharing with us and, pouring yourself out to us, because you guys have quite a story and an interesting journey that you've been on. And I'm going to tell you, I'm excited to just kind of see where this journey continues to go with you too. So again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us. With that, we're going to cut the recording off.